and welcome to the third episode of Impacted with Bison, your host, and
coming at you from the empty space, talking to you through the void, it's the Joker.
Hi, mate. Nice to see you again.
Nice to see you too. How are you?
Yeah, not bad. I've had a good week actually. So, been watching a lot of different things on Taya as well, just to get an idea on today's show. So, without any further ado, I've already given it away by the sound of it. But with any further ado, yeah, I know. Without any further, this week's episode is all about Taya Valkyrie.
JOE-KER, Lucha Royalty, Reina de Reyes champion AAA.
That's it. She
Tell
is,
us if we don't mention it.
History maker. She is the only history maker in Impact, apparently.
Yeah.
And we're, again, both big fans, aren't we, Joe?
Yes, actually. It's been, she's either hit and miss me, but it's not been down to her ability or anything. It's more been down to how she's been booked. I've been impressed with Taya Valkyrie from the start. It's taken her a while to get off the speed bump to really I can't really say stand out. She stood up. I don't know. It's some people grab your attention straight away and you think, yes, these guys are going to really keep you interested, like Rosemary and Sami Callihan did. It just took a little while for Taya Valkyrie to do that, but since what we were talking about this later on, since she came in with JOE-KER rather than the Lucha Royalty role, that was where it really started to show her personality shine through, and that's what really got us.
I think. I mean, obviously, the character that she uses now is much closer to the character that she used prior to her initial debut on Impact. I think it's much closer to what she did in AAA and other promotions as well. I mean, obviously, she is a big deal. She came into Impact as a very well-established star in Mexico, as well as lots of other countries all around the world. She is a very, very impressive athlete. You cannot deny that. She is also married to, Johnny Morrison, who is now obviously in the WWE, who was Johnny Impact when he had his time over in Impact. Johnny Nitro, and Johnny Mundo, and Johnny
many names.
Johnny many, yeah. So, but she is definitely, for me, a standout knockout. I mean, it just did take her a little while to get in. So, just a quick breakdown, just to make everybody aware. I don't want to, just in case you are a first-time listener to this particular podcast, but the way we do this particular show is just based around taking a character from the Impact roster. We're both Impact fans, so we've solely are interested in Impact, hence why the show's called Impacted. So we take a character from the show. We look at their past, their present, and their future, mainly based around what they've done on the Impact roster since they've come in. But we do like to mention that prior to coming into Impact, some of these guys have had some pretty prestigious careers up till that point, and you don't ever want to. Because these guys, they worked their butts off for many years to get to primetime TV, as it were, and I think that and get to a promotion like Impact, who've got a worldwide reach, which turns the guys into worldwide stars. So you have to respect where they come from to appreciate where they are now and where they're going to go in the future. So. Moving swiftly on, Taya made her debut for Impact September 2017. Now, her debut basically was she came in, she attacked Rosemary, which then, of course, established her as a heel literally from day one. Now, one of the things I want to talk about is the character that she was using at that time, you know, and where the whole Valkyrie thing come from. You know, I think it was around the idea of the Game of Thrones at the time. You know, Game of Thrones obviously was massive. We're all waiting for season 8 to come. Sorry, was it season 8, the finale season? Yeah, and I think it was I think that obviously was the reason for it. You know, it was a huge popularity. It's very, very similar to when they did Aces and Eights. It was pretty much based on the popularity of the TV show Sons of Anarchy, right?
I've never seen Sons of Anarchy.
Sorry?
I've never seen or heard of Sons of Anarchy. I'm unlucky enough to have missed Aces and Eights, but I will agree. When Taya Valkyrie came in, she was Lucha royalty. You know, you get Josh Matthews reminding you every time she'd come out that it was like Game of Thrones, especially when she was against Rosemary. Taya was the ice and Rosemary was the fire.
That's right.
But she came down with this dominating presence, regardless. So whether it was cosplay to a television show or she is literally establishing herself as Lucha royalty, because that was how she was going to get AAA, as she'd recently become a 2-time champion at the WS, which I think is a women's division belt. I'm sure someone can correct me if I'm wrong on anything of pronunciation. But she came down to make a statement. When she came down, I thought she was going to go and attack Sienna and Taryn Terrell, and you can see that on Rosemary's reaction. She's laughing. And then Taya Valkyrie, but before she came in, she said she wanted to attack the best in the division. So everyone thought she's going to go for Sienna, she's going to go for Taryn Terrell. And then when she turned on Rosemary, I was like, oh shit, this is going to be good. Sorry, excuse me for slang, but I'm such a huge fan of Rosemary. When she went for Rosemary, it was bang. That's my expectation out the window. So it goes.
Yeah, and fair, she was attacking, as far as I'm concerned, the best knockout on the roster at that moment. And she's still she's still, as we've already discussed in episode 1, she still is for us one of the best knockouts on the roster anyway. But that was a great move for her. Now, of course, after that, literally the following week, she had her debut match, and that was against a wrestler called Amber Nova. Now, I think we'd seen her a couple of times, Amber, before that, but again, she was effectively, it was a squash match. It was definitely a squash match, and we got to see the finishing move. Road to Valhalla for the first time, and yeah, I mean, it was a pretty impressive debut match, wasn't it?
I'm not a huge fan of squash matches, but they do what they're meant to. They're there to make the superstar coming in look dominant. They're there to literally just stamp their authority on what they're going to do. She showed quite a few matches with Kiera Hogan.
Agreed.
She just flattened everybody.
A squash match is there to make the talent that you're bringing in look like a beast, look good. Yeah. And I think Amber's job making sure that at that moment Taya looked like an absolute beast in the ring. And I think we all then said, right, okay, this girl is great. Are we sold on the character yet? Maybe not. I kind of actually found her entrance a little bit boring. I think initially, when she first came out in that big, that big cloak thing, it looked very spectacular, but like the way she sort of kind of came to the ring with that almost like a wedding march, type. Like real slow motion and stuff, I wasn't really sold on that. It just was a bit slow. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it lost its appeal very quickly. It's probably the best way to sum it up. It worked, but she clearly needed to do it once or twice, to like if she was going against a big opponent, or when she came in to start off with, just to make herself look imposing. but she didn't need to do that for every single match she come into. But again, it's just how the character was played out. So you can't knock Taya Valkyrie for it too much. It's more how creative wanted it to be played out. So it's really just, it's experimentation, in my opinion.
Of course. And I think
see what works and see what doesn't.
Yeah, I think the reality is, you know, the Impact fans just weren't taken to the character, but they kept pushing it because, you know, sometimes it does take you a little while to kind of, you know, take to something new, something fresh, and it was new and it was different at the time. You know, we hadn't seen a character like that on Impact previously. This was definitely a new character, something a little bit different, and it's good to continue trying something different, you know. But what we then saw was a feud start then between her and Rosemary, which was supposed to lead to a match at Bang for Glory that year, which I can't remember why, but for some reason it never happened. Do you remember why, Joe?
She couldn't make the Canadian tapings. She didn't give a reason why. She asked for privacy about it, and I think it's just probably best not to speculate on something you don't know. So I'm not going to take hazard a guess at anything. But something had come up.
I was thinking about it. I've been thinking about it. You know, last night actually. You know, before I wrote a lot of the stuff I've put down here. Yeah, I just could not remember exactly what the reasons were given at all. I just can't remember. But anyway, I think it was. I mean, I'm sure, you know, whatever it was, personal reasons, whatever was going on at the time. I'm sure it was important enough that, you know, she had to deal with it. Now, prior at that time, yeah, like I said, I think she had some stuff going on, which just meant that she was unable to compete. She then re-debuted, I believe, in March 2018. Now, I think she was gone for about, that would have meant that she was gone probably for about 4 or 5 months. But in fashion, she came back and rekindled her feud with Rosemary, which eventually led to her defeat at the hands of Rosemary, which obviously would have pleased us at the time. And I think it was a Demon's Dance match, which
Demon's Dance.
It was a Demon's Dance match, wasn't it?
Yes, we were hoping for the Bloody Mary, but we got the Demon's Dance instead.
Yeah.
And I was hyped for whichever match was coming, because Taya Valkyrie and Rosemary were knocking 7 hells out of each other whenever they faced off, and Rosemary was really need for a win.
Every match was real, you know, was real intense, wasn't it? Every match lead into this was just insane, you know, and you know, you were thinking, Christ, you know, is someone going to get injured in this, weren't you? Because it was hard hitting. Which led to this. It was so there was some really great stuff going on from you know, and I think straight away Taya and Rosemary really had a great chemistry in the ring. They you know, they seem to really sort of kind of work off each other really well. Do you think?
Yes, you can still see it now as the characters have gone on. You can still see they bounce off each other perfectly. It's like Rosemary seems to have this ability to just work well with anybody. You saw it with Ali. You saw it with how she tried to convert Gail Kim and convert Bram. And Taya Valkyrie is the same. She's great at getting under people's skin and great at really outsmarting everybody and really knocking everyone off their game. Especially like Tessa Blanchard is probably the best example, but we'll be getting onto her soon.
Yeah. I mean, I think that I mean, we've got I mean, even now with the I don't want to talk too much about that because we'll talk about that in a bit, but even now the way that she's, you know, working with Susie, I think that's going to be quite interesting how that storyline pans out. Yeah, so I mean that pretty much promptly ended the feud. Once that was all done and done with, yeah, she lost to Rosemary, and that was the end of that feud. Now, I just want to. I mean, we've touched on we've touched on her persona, her character, which was kind of, like you say, it was very much based on the whole kind of Game of Thrones type thing, becoming being a Valkyrie, which are.
Yeah.
In through mythology, Valkyries are supposed to be, incredibly tough women that helped look after the realm of Thor. Where Thor, Valhalla or whatever you want to call it. So, it's she effectively, I think she did a good job of.
Oh, no, undoubtedly.
I just feel that it didn't connect with the audience. Do you think? I mean, do you think that's where we're at with that?
Yeah, she did a fantastic job, and hats off to Impact for trying it. It just the fans weren't clicking, and which is a shame, because you look back at some of the matches she had, especially with Rosemary, and some of the matches she had against Sienna. They were really, really good, and she showed just how powerful she was then, and you seem to actually miss that now in her new persona, how dominant and powerful she is, because now she's taking shortcuts and everything and ducking competition. So the competitive side of Taya Valkyrie sticks in your mind from her previous character, and I think that's probably the best thing about it. You ignore the bland stuff and you keep the best stuff in mind.
Yeah, I think the interesting thing about Taya is, I mean, she's thick set, she's strong, she's tall. I mean, I was telling you off air, wasn't I? That I did actually meet Taya at the New York tapings. Lucky enough, because I went on the I think they call it the titanium package or whatever. You get to get photos and all that kind of stuff with them. So I actually went onto the stage and I met Taya, and do you know what? Like, she is dominating, mate. She is a one serious lady. I remember walking up and thinking, Jesus Christ, she's like she was almost like, I mean, I'm like 5'10", 5'11", and so she's got to be a good 6 foot. She was
6'2".
Yeah, I mean, she's a very tall lady, and very, very, dominating, and very impressive. But she was absolutely lovely as well. So it was lovely to meet her. She was absolutely lovely lady, but she's very domineering. She's big girl, and I can imagine that she can be very intimidating, when she gets in the ring against you, because she is a big lady. So she's whoever she gets in the ring with, she's generally she is, a good couple of inches above anybody that she gets in the ring with from that knockouts division, isn't she?
Oh, definitely. You stand her next to Kiera Hogan, she's got to look down. You stand her next to, when we had, like, Sienna was quite a big wrestler. You stood her next to her, and even then she was only about chest height, and so was Rosemary, was only about chest height, and Taya Valkyrie. So yeah, she just literally towered over everybody, and even now you see her against Jordan Grace, and that it's amazing that people can work around how big she is, which is testament to everyone's wrestling ability on the roster, because you just wouldn't expect someone so big to be able to be manhandled and everything. But Taya Valkyrie is just a dominating character, and you can't ignore it.
No, you can't. You can't ignore it. And a lot of people see the word thick, and they think that's a bad thing. It's not a bad thing at all. Especially when you're in this industry. I mean, she's strong. She's powerful. She's tall. She's got all the tools needed to be successful in this industry. And she's a gorgeous woman as well. So, what more do you need to be successful as a wrestler? I think she's got it all. So now with this, you know, obviously the end of the feud with Rosemary then led to a second, I think it was 4 or 5 minute absence from Impact. But when she did return, she was now a face character, and the whole kind of Vera Loca era, if you like, kind of started. And I think that is when now she sort of kind of went back to where she was prior to the Game of Thrones style character, and I think that is a character as well that she feels really, really comfortable in. Do you think?
Oh, I think that's going back down to training in Mexico and everything, and it's her comfort zone. She kicked it off brilliantly against Tessa Blanchard. As soon as she came back, she says to everyone, you think you're the best, but everyone knows you're just a bitch, and you haven't beaten me yet. So come and face me at Bound for Glory in New York, and let's see who's the better woman. And unfortunately, Taya Valkyrie didn't get the win, but it kicked off a really unexpected feud. Tessa Blanchard had literally smashed the locker room. So we were hoping Tessa would have some decent competition, but I think Taya Valkyrie was probably the last person I expected her to actually go against. So I was expecting, I can't remember who else was actually I was expecting like Kiera Hogan to maybe get a push against Tessa Blanchard, and that to sort of pan out a bit more. Just because I wanted to see more from Kiera Hogan as well, but they brought Taya Valkyrie in, and Taya Valkyrie and Tessa Blanchard raised the bar between each other as well, and it helped bolster Tessa up as a heel as well.
Yeah, I think that you know the challenge was, you know, and I mean, well, she went on to basically challenge for the Knockouts Championship, and that happened. I think the match was at Bound for Glory. I mean, unfortunately, on this occasion, she lost, as we just mentioned. You know, for her. But what you know, going back to sort of kind of like a re-debuting, you know, what were your thoughts when the new music hit? She clearly had a new attitude, a new character. You know, what were your thoughts at that moment?
I was happy to see change. I was really, really happy to see change. Again, not knocking anything in the past too much. I was just glad to see that they are allowing Impact is allowing wrestlers to reinvent themselves. They're not giving them one character and telling you stick with that regardless. They're giving them the creative freedom, and it works in Taya Valkyrie's favor.
Yeah, I think when she came out and she just suddenly, I think she just suddenly started to glow. Do you know what I mean? Like you suddenly started to get this completely different presence, this completely different attitude. She had something which, you know, was almost like a ready brat grow. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
She kind of aura, glow around her that you knew that, you know, okay, you know, this is this is going to be good. And I think, I mean, me as a fan, I took to the character straight away, like straight off the bat. I'm like, yeah, this is going to be good, you know?
Yeah, she had the chip on her shoulder, and this time she let it show.
Yeah, which is great. Okay, so obviously we just talked about that she then obviously went in with a feud, challenge to Tessa Blanchard, which then led to the match at Bound for Glory. As I said before, on this occasion, she lost to Tessa. Now, whether that was a good thing, but I think it was probably a good thing at that time. We then saw a rematch on Impact. I think it was 2 or 3 weeks later, where once again she lost to Tessa. Now, you know, Tessa at that time, however, in that match did end up cheating, if I remember rightly, to retain. So, yeah, which then obviously meant that because she had cheated, it wasn't a clean win, which meant that, you know, we could then continue on with the feud with them. And then that obviously eventually led to another championship match at Homecoming in January 2019. Now, you know, what a great show that was.
That was good. I think it was the best time for the title change, and having Gail Kim step in to try and calm a really hostile situation down. I know a lot of people rolled their eyes at Gail Kim coming back again, but I was happy to see Gail Kim back. How can you not be happy to see Gail Kim back? And the way Taya Valkyrie deserves the victory regardless, and Tessa Blanchard was ready to move on. So the match itself was very good, and I'm trying to thoughts going a bit. Now my mind's gone. It'll come back to me.
We'll get back to it. I just wanted to say, because we mentioned Gail Kim, because she ended up becoming the guest referee for that match. I just wanted to say that, regardless of whether she comes back, gets involved or whatever, it doesn't really matter. The bottom line is Gail Kim is a legend. And I was lucky enough, actually, I can't remember how many years ago it was now. I can't remember the year. I got no idea. But I was lucky enough to see a Gail Kim Awesome Kong match, which was I saw that live. I mean, that was incredible. I mean, you're talking Beauty and the Beast scenario here, and Awesome Kong was huge compared to Gail. Massive, but Gail was had that resolve, and it was a very impressive match. I mean, Gail Kim, deserves her Hall of Fame. She deserves to be the leader, or the part of the locker room in terms of looking after the knockouts division, as she does now. She has a big part in creative, big part in development. And I think she does she has a great eye for talent, and again, I think that shows with the Tessa, obviously with Taya, Rosemary. She has a great, Kira Hogan coming in at a young age. She has a great eye for talent and knows exactly what they need to be doing to be developing their characters, developing their skill sets. I can imagine that any knockout. Or any female wrestler would love to be, would love that phone call from Gail Kim. How do you fancy, coming into Impact? You know what I mean? And I would imagine that there's a lot of female talents out there that would love the opportunity to spend some time working with Gail to help develop their skills, their characters. She's got so much to offer. I would imagine if I was a female wrestler, in the industry today, trying to make it, that if Gail Kim rang me and said, "Do you fancy joining the knockouts division?" I'd be like, where do I sign? You know what I mean?
Damn right. Yeah. Sorry, you carry on.
No, that's right. Yeah, no, Gail Kim is a true legend of this business. So I was really pleased to see Gail sort of kind of getting involved in this whole scenario. And I mean, obviously, where that all sort of kind of came together was, with an inadvertent kind of assist. We saw Tessa to Taya finally. Taya come in, and Taya becoming the Knockouts champion, and again, that was the start of this incredible run that we see today, wasn't it?
I've had high and low points with championship run, but most of that's been towards the end of 2019, after the heel turn really started to run out of ideas. But we'll be probably getting down towards the end of 2019 later on. She started off the title reign really perfectly after the Johnny Impact had beaten Brian Cage. This is a rebellion going on about now, so that's probably a bit further ahead. She taken that powerbomb from Killer Cross at the end of Homecoming, and after you can see that despite her status, she was going to get slung about by anyone. But again, that was more mind games for the heavyweight title rather than Taya Valkyrie itself.
course. I mean, again, she's a great character to have, taking part in storylines. At the time you've got, you got Johnny, you've got Johnny Impact as world champion, and you've got Taya as Knockouts champion as well. That was an interesting storyline that sort of kind of like, I think, started off really, really well. I think what was really good about the match at Homecoming was how the way that they booked that led to create two storylines straight out of that straight away. So in other words, Tessa losing then led to her and Gail having that incredible match at the next pay-per-view. It said, you know what I mean? So it's sort of kind of, even though that's nothing to do with Taya, but I'm just saying that the way that sort of kind of panned out, the way that they booked it, the way that the story was told, you ended up separating the two, because clearly they wanted to give Taya a run as champion, and they didn't necessarily they didn't want Tessa to take it straight away. They obviously have for Tessa, as we know now, and that meant that she had to move away from the Knockouts division. So I think the way that panned out, ended up with beating Gail Kidd, and basically Gail passing the torch on to Tessa and all that kind of stuff was great. But I think we then saw the following week where because Johnny Impact was her and Johnny were sort of kind of together at that on screen as well as off, and I think that's a good thing as well. They don't sort of kind of ignore the fact that they are a couple. You know what I mean?
Yeah. She spent the first run there. She didn't want the fact that they were married to be plastered everywhere. So when she was Lucha Royalty, she separated herself from that entirely. So when Johnny Impact had become world champion, then they merged it together. They didn't force it on anybody. They let the wrestlers decide when they wanted to do it, and it paid off.
Yeah, I think it paid off really, really well. I mean, she ended up, I think it was literally the following week, she turned full on heel, where she low blowed Brian Cage. I always get a little bit of whenever I see that, because I think we know how much those sort of blows are, don't we? Obviously, I know they're probably wearing a cut because they know it's coming, but it's still when you watch, it's still like ooh. And then of course her husband, Johnny Impact, an assist, and they attacked Cage, and that started that opened up a whole new kettle of fish. Then, we had a short after a short feud where we saw Taya Johnny team up against I think it was Jordan Grace and Brian Cage. We saw setup of a title match between her and Jordan Grace, which happened at Rebellion, which arguably pay-per-view of 2019. I don't know if you agree with that, but I believe that Rebellion was probably the best pay-per-view of that year, and actually probably the best pay-per-view to date. At that point, any of the pay-per-views prior to that was definitely a strong one. I did enjoy Slammiversary 2014. When it was all cold, and I think that was at the Rebellion Center. I think, funny enough. The Rebel Center. Sorry, Rebel Center, wasn't it? That Slammiversary, and that was an outstanding pay-per-view as well. But I think that this Rebellion pay-per-view was probably. Oh, it was outstanding. I mean, the whole thing was incredible. I think it was a fantastic pay-per-view. And of course, Taya took the win over Jordan at that point. We then saw a build-up to an incredible Monsters Ball match at Slammiversary between Taya, Rosemary, Havoc, and Su Yung. Now, that was incredible. I have to say, I think that was I think it's the first time we've ever had a Monsters Ball knockouts match, isn't it?
It's the first time for a while. We had Jade and Rosemary have one, and
I think that was a monster.
No, they have had one. Jade and Rosemary have had one monster sport, and then they did Demon's Dance as well, which is basically the same situation.
Okay, yeah, I suppose.
Yeah, but the one with Havoc and Rosemary and Sue Young, I was expecting Havoc or Rosemary to win, and I was rooting for Havoc. So when Taya Valkyrie came, shoved Havoc out the ring after she tombstone piles, I would Sue Young off the turnbuckle. You knew the match was over then, regardless of what was happening.
Yeah.
I was hoping the match would have gone on a bit longer.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I was just a huge fan of all four. And I really wanted to see Rosemary win over Taya Valkyrie. But regardless of the outcome, I look back at I was really critical of it then. I look back at it now, and I stopped complaining. Basically, I stopped complaining and just enjoy the match. Her match against Jordan Grace at Rebellion was her best match of the year, and I do agree. Rebellion was the best pay-per-view of 2019 as well.
Yeah, yeah.
But she continued her heel character to really prop up Johnny Impact more than herself. From Rebellion to him, from Homecoming to hit Rebellion, because he left after losing the X Division title match against Rich Swann.
That's right. Yeah, yeah. I think it was just, yeah,
which was a good storyline.
Yeah, I think the match with Jordan Grace at Rebellion was just it was incredible, and I think it didn't just cement how good Taya is. It introduced you to how good Jordan is. Do you think?
Oh, definitely. I was impressed with Jordan Grace from day one, but you hadn't really seen it tested. You've seen her against Taya Valkyrie once or twice in the odd match, but at Rebellion, it was like Eddie Edwards and Michael Elgin did this year. They really pushed each other to the limit, and you really got to see a lot more aggressive side of Jordan Grace and a lot more versatility that you've forgotten Taya Valkyrie had at Rebellion. And now they're going back to Jordan Grace and Taya Valkyrie this year. It's a great way to loop back around what had happened in the past. They're not letting rivalries or grudges go after 1 or 2 months. They're bringing them back, and I'm expecting Taya Valkyrie and Jordan Grace to face off against Rebellion this year, and Taya will probably lose. And I think it's the ideal situation for Jordan Grace, and it's also a smart move for Taya Valkyrie as well, because see her going for Tessa Blanchard more if Tessa's still champion.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, I think that the main thing is that what it did for everything. I think it really cemented the fact that the Knockouts division clearly is it is the best women's division in the world. I mean, we can all talk about some of the good stuff that the Divas or the NXT guys are doing, which I'm not going to knock it at all, because they're also very good at what they do. But the Knockouts division, for me, because of the freedom that they are allowed, because of the stuff that they're allowed to do and the storylines that they're allowed to tell, they are just incredible talents. I mean, it's the best division without doubt. They're not afraid to go out there and hard hit. And that's exactly the same with, when it comes to, Taya, where it comes to Jordan Grace, whoever it is out there, they're not afraid to absolutely go for it. And that's the argument I have, but obviously this is for another podcast, but that's the argument I have with regards to Tessa when people say that, it's not credible. Well, she is credible. I mean, she takes some serious hard hitting punishment from whoever she's in the ring with. It's not like they're not hitting, they're holding back, because they're not, are they? Which makes each match credible, right? But anyway, that's for another discussion. Okay, so obviously we had that incredible Monsters Ball match, where obviously she came out again victorious on top. Was an incredible match. I think, in my opinion, comment on when you see matches like that, because you see, you saw at Rebellion just a basic one-on-one, incredible. You then go to the Monsters Ball match at Slammiversary, which is again it's a completely different style of match, and I think what that does is it shows the versatility that Taya has as a worker. She can put herself in against anyone doing any kind of stuff, any kind of match, and she will look good. And as a true pro, she makes the other person look good too. That's actually where we're sort of kind of coming on later. So she takes the win. She retains her title, at that particular round. We then saw Taya take on an incoming Tennille Dashwood at For Glory, where Taya retained the title in that match. Now, I wanted to touch on this because for me, this is probably the worst title match of and it's nothing to do with her. I think it was based on the fact that her opponent was so bad, and I'm wondering whether the fact that Tennille obviously has got star power led to the decision of throwing her into that match way too early before, because I mean, let's face it, she's not wrestled for a while. She's been ill, she's had issues. She comes back in and straight away she's thrown into title scenario, and I just think that it's not. Maybe they needed to give her a little bit more time. You know what I mean? They needed to build her. They needed a few more matches. They needed to get her ring ready for. I just don't think he was ready for it. So, and for me, I think no matter how hard Taya tried to carry that match,
she did carry that match.
It was definitely the worst match for Reign, I think. What do you think?
Yeah, they gave us a blank canvas really with Tennille Dashwood and Taya Valkyrie. The only thing we really knew about them was Tennille Dashwood was Taya Valkyrie's first opponent, which they started professional wrestling together. And that meant nothing because no one really got seen that match, and that was basically all you got. Tennille Dashwood, I've not been impressed to be honest with what I've seen so far, which is a shame because I was pretty excited to see her after she'd broken away from the WWE because I knew she was being held, and she's one of these people like you hope when they break out with a huge impact, no pun intended. But
just hasn't
there's room to build her up a bit more now. So they've got that match. It was like a slot filler more than anything else. They had to put Taya Valkyrie in a match, but they needed something original, so they just thought, let's slap this together. Let's see what happens. And this is one of the low points of my title run, where it all started to slow down a bit for me. It was around Tennille Dashwood coming in.
I think it was definitely a miss. I think on this occasion, it wasn't a hit, and I think it's a shame because the way that they then booked Tennille, I think, kind of has led to the crowd not having any real investment in her at all. I think it doesn't help that I think she's whatever contract she's got with the company. I would imagine it seems that it's quite loose in the sense that it may be per performance. I'm not even sure that she's actually kind of signed, properly, like on a multi-year deal kind of scenario. I think it's definitely a paper appearance. I mean, I saw an interview with her. I can't remember who it was with now, where she said about the fact that now she's got the best of all worlds, where she can basically wrestle wherever she likes and whenever she likes, kind of scenario. Well, I don't see that working for a televised promotion. They're not going to get behind someone like that. They're not going to push them. They're not going to give them decent storylines if they haven't kind of got them, solidly, signed in to be there for a certain period of time to ensure that, you don't end up all of a sudden, oh, I don't want to work this set of tapings, I can't be bothered. Kind of do you know what I mean? Like, and I think that's probably why her booking has been the way it's been, because they know that they're not necessarily going to get loyalty from her like they would, for instance, someone like Taya, someone like Joy, even like, talents like Kira Hogan, for instance, who I believe very soon got at Knockouts Championship, because I think she's incredible. But, I mean, it was just a poor match. And I think, Taya deserves a little bit better as well, I think. I think she shouldn't, I don't think she should be put in a position where she's got to carry a wrestler in a title match at a pay-per-view. I don't see that. I think that, for me, it just didn't work. And that, for me, it's bad booking. That was bad booking. It wasn't Taya's fault. She did her best with the match. That was a bad booking decision on her part. So I'm not going to throw that on Taya at all. She did her best and she tried really, really hard. It just, unfortunately, was flat, boring, and you just couldn't get into it. You just couldn't get into it at all, and it wasn't her fault.
No, I don't blame the talent too much, but like you just said, I think it's just poor booking. But that's a really all that should be said now. You can't spread too much negativity on it. It was what it was, and that's all you can really do about it.
Yeah, I think so from there, moving on a little bit. So from that, I mean, obviously she's continuing her title reign. From that, we then saw sort of kind of like, I think it was the Mexico tapings after that, and we saw her sort of kind of like taking on, Big Mammy, I think it was, and yeah,
brilliant.
Yeah, and I actually thought that was a really good, fun match. I really enjoyed that, and it just goes to show, I mean, Big Mammy was really good actually. Like she was quite a solid worker, wasn't she?
I thought everyone's very critical of the Mexican crowd and the Mexican tapings and that. I love it when they go to Mexico. I love seeing the different superstars that you wouldn't see anywhere else. And Taya Valkyrie's got such a long history in Mexico, as everyone probably knows if you've been watching her.
Yeah.
So for her to come back to familiar territory, get the crowd behind her, and then take on someone as massive as, literally as massive as Big Mummy. And you knew she was going to win the matches and everything. You knew she wasn't going to lose the title at Mexico, but you also wouldn't have expected a favourite in Mexico to lose if it was a non-title match or something. But Taya Valkyrie and Big Mammy, they went to town on each other, and they kept it the variety that was needed going after such a flop.
I think he told a really good story in the ring, because I mean, obviously from a storyline perspective, I mean, this is character driven, because we're starting to move into that whole kind of like she's booking people that she knows she can, she's going to win against, right? Kind of that's the whole scenario here. Oh yes, I've picked a big star and blah blah blah. Well, what she's picked is yes, she I guess in Mexico is a big star, but to a lot of the people, to a lot of the Impact fan base that are watching the show, they probably never heard of her before, and what she was talking about was the size of Big Mammy, not and the thing is, I think that and the way that she played it, the way that she played it was, like, oh, this is going to be dead easy, and then when you actually got it in the ring, the story they told was a little bit different, wasn't it? It was like, hang on a minute. It turned out that Mummy had a few good moves, and that she wasn't an easy picking, right?
Yeah, it showed that the bully boy tactics of Taya Valkyrie, it also again it played off the egomaniac character that she's now become. thinking that she is literally above everybody else. Well, she is if you look at if you stand next to her, but she thinks she's above everybody else status-wise.
Yeah.
She thinks that she's this
just like this
glamour model.
Yeah.
And she just thinks she can just put everyone down, look down at everyone, and doesn't need to take her self seriously. And she has control over her destiny rather than management has control over what she does. And you see her protest that every time she gets a title match, which
that's right.
It started off a bit. I think, for God's sake, this is going to get a bit nitpicky, and then you just laugh at it afterwards. You laugh at it because it's part of the character, and
she's so good at it.
Yeah, she's fantastic about it. The body language and everything as well. When she tries to get Rosemary
talk to the hand, and it's that whole kind of like talk to the hand and all that kind of feel about it. I mean, talking about that character build as well. I think we hit on it, the wedding, because actually for me the wedding of Brian Page and Melissa Santos was fabulous. Right, I really loved that. I thought it was great. But leading up to that, you had the big night of the hen party. Well, we would call it a hen party, whatever they call it, bachelorette party or whatever it is. The audacity of her sort of kind of like basically making out that the party really is about her being knockouts champion, and I think it was just she really made that big night. I think she really made that situation at that point really, really well, and it was really good. And she was very similar all the way through. Everything's about her, making everything about me. And I think that in reality, she's playing that character which they tried to give to Neil Dashwood, that everything's about her. But actually, the way that Taya's playing it, that is the character that she's playing. Everything is about her. It's about her. She is knockout champion. She is the best. Everyone should be, bowing down to her as the queen of the knockouts kind of thing, the leader. And I think she's playing it so well. I mean, some of the stuff she's doing on social media, she put some video stuff up the other day and just had me in stitches. I thought it was hilarious. But she plays the character really, really well. I think we had a couple of other. I can't actually remember who they were, but I think we had a couple of other matches as well with sort of kind of almost squash matches or whatever, just to help continue the reign, because obviously they were going for the whole. There's obviously a big plan in place. They were going for the whole. Never Tessa ends up becoming the world champ, etc., and then we end up hopefully getting something going on there as well, which would be great. But I think the most impressive thing is just basically how they've really managed from a story perspective to keep this going, and they have managed to do it, and they've done a good job, and she's done a great job as a character, and it is believable that she is incredible in the ring, and she is. Now there's one other thing that I think we need to talk about actually, and that is her third person, shall we say. Of course, that is her valet, or whatever you want to call it, Johnny Bravo.
Bowling Alley Bravo.
Yeah. So I think we're all big fan of Johnny Bravo. I think he's hilarious, and I know that Trent from TNI especially, and J Bone as well. I think they absolutely love Johnny. I think they know him personally, which is cool as well. But he's Johnny Bravo is doing an amazing job, and I think that again as well is a testament to the way that the storyline, the way Taya is sort of like kind of embracing him, the way that she acts towards him. He sort of kind of looks at her as the queen, and she's almost like the butler kind of thing. Do you know what I mean?
He's the slave, she's the boss.
That's right.
And then they got Mr. Mundo following them as well. The little toy dog. Jordan Grace and Madison Rain cruelly threw around the arena. When Jordan Grace punted out the arena, that was fantastic. When Madison Rain to get Don Callis making a big drama about it, saying, "Oh, you got to call Peter now. You got to call Peter in." And it's just a toy, it's just a toy dog, and it was just, it added that much needed comedy value to keep the whole heel turn and Taya Valkyrie fresh. You had the nasty side, and that could only go on for so long. So when they built up the match for Bound for Glory, they had a sucking up to Rosemary a bit more. Now they've got a sucking up to Madison Rayne and Kira Hogan. And it adds the emphasis that everything's about Taya Valkyrie. She thinks she's above everyone, and the fact that people are knocking a toy dog around, knocking Johnny Bravo around, and she's leaving him to the wolves.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And he's eating it up, isn't he? He's absolutely eating it up. And I think he's just knocking that role out of the park. His character is awesome. His shirts are awesome. And he really is. And I actually think he's a big part also of building the character up, and and obviously being a big part of all retaining and continuing the reign as well. But I think that he just really sort of kind of like helps drive the character that Taya's built now, and really cemented the whole what she is, the whole kind of, it's all about me, this whole kind of like queen type attitude, and I think it's perfect, and she just does it so well, and Johnny totally gets it. I think he totally knows exactly what his role is. He knows exactly what he's there to do, and he does a really good job. Now, obviously, she's eventually beaten, become the longest reigning Knockouts champion in history. I think the previous one was Taryn Terrell. I'm not sure how many days. I should have looked that up really. But I mean, I know that she's well in. I think Taya's now well into over a year. She's like 370 days or something, or 377, something like that. So she's definitely cemented herself as the longest reigning knockout champion, and of course now she's really using that to her advantage, and definitely making sure everybody's aware of it. And of course, that led to 2020. So we're now building into 2020. We get to the New York tapings continuing into the first couple of weeks of January, where we were getting the build into Hard to Kill, which obviously went on which was earlier this month, and we saw her once again retain her championship in a three-way match, and that's something to discuss in a minute, with Jordan Grace and ODB. Now, of course, obviously she goes on to retain. But my question here is, do you think that ODB should have been in that match, or do you think that was, I mean, we all know why they brought ODB back. I mean, I was there at the New York taping, so and I know that the gate, all ticket sales and everything else was donated to ODB to help, with her food truck, her meat and all that, which I think was again, that's a testament to Impact management, Impact as it is now, that they appreciate the past, and I think that's a key as well. And this is what people forget: they appreciate the past. They know what the past was, and they also, it had its good, it had its bad, but let's celebrate the good, and not celebrate. Let's celebrate the good. Yeah, forget the bad, because bad happens in every promotion. It doesn't matter who it is, but let's celebrate the good stuff. Let's move it forward. Let's look after the guy, the roster or the talents that effectively built TNA. Into obviously Impact Wrestling as it is now. Let's celebrate them and help them out. And I think the fact that they did that also says that they're obviously coming into a better position now as a promotion, because if they weren't solidified as a promotion, then they wouldn't be able to afford to do stuff like that, right?
Definitely. It shows solidarity and like you said, loyalty to past talent. You know, they've what we did for ODB. What I think that was really admirable. The food truck at the burnt down. She was devastated, and for them to even to step up and acknowledge that it's hard to put into words. I'm just really happy that they showed that charitable side.
Yeah, it's important. And I think that's important. I think it's really important that they care. I think they're showing that they care about their talent, you know, and that is important because, as you know, as we all know, you know, not every promotion cares about their talent as much as, you know, as others. And I think that is an important thing, that they care about their talent and they want to make sure that, you know, that people are okay. You know, and I think it is important to acknowledge the fact that wrestling potentially is, you know, an in-ring competitor, you know, is potentially or could be a very short-term career, and you have to look at what you're going to do, you know, once you're done. You know, I mean, don't get me wrong, you know, there is the options to go off and become producers and you know, trainers and all that kind of stuff, work behind the scenes, but not everybody has the ability or has, you know, even want to do that. You know, so the fact she set herself up to you know, do something after her career, I think is a great thing. And the fact that, you know, she's come back, she's not just said, look, you know, expected them to donate the gate or anything like that. I mean, you know, she's probably said, look, you know, I wouldn't mind coming in and working, kind of thing. So what they've done, they said, well, okay, but I'll tell you what, instead of paying you, we'll give you the gate. You know, and for the entire night, you know what I mean? And I think that is an incredible thing. That is an incredible thing to do. And because I can imagine that the ticket sales were, you know, totaled quite a lot of money, I should imagine. So she did all right out of it. Obviously, you know, she was then injected into the Hard to Kill match. I'm not sure ODB necessarily should have gone any further. I think she was injected because they wanted Taya to win, but they didn't want it to win over Jordan because they obviously had plans for Jordan to moving forward. So I don't think they wanted a clean win over Jordan, which is why she was injected into that match. So there was obviously a reason for it, but I think it led to the match not necessarily being as good as it could have been. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Jordan Grace had beaten her at Bash of the Brewery as well, and that they're using that to push Jordan Grace forward now. So, well, I was happy to see ODB back because I'm a big fan of ODB, and bam, indeed. I was happy to see ODB back, but I was more hyped for Taya Valkyrie and Jordan Grace just going at it alone. So again, I mentioned at the start, I'm hoping that this is where it's going to go for Rebellion this year. It's going to go right back to Taya Valkyrie and Jordan Grace picking off a year on from when they face each other then, and then Jordan Grace probably winning the title.
I take it you're unaware then. I don't want to do spoilers. Am I right in thinking that? Well, I'm sorry, but I mean, the bottom line is that, you know, at the end of the day, I mean, current as we stand at this moment in time, according to the Impact tapings, Taya is obviously still Knockouts champion, and I think the current set of tapings in Mexico have been superb. I mean, the fact that you had, I mean, the first episode in Mexico where you had Tessa making her in-ring kind of, you know, speech or whatever, and then you had Taya coming out and then, you know, staking her claim, saying, look, at the end of the day, you ain't beat me, love. You know what I mean? And in fact, last time we fought, I beat you. So, you know, and then, of course, Ace Austin comes out, you know, ends... you know, saying pretty much the same thing. You know, well, last time we were in a ring together, I ended up on top. And then, of course, that led to the scumbag comment, which then led to, which, I mean, I actually thought, like, I've actually watched that back a couple of times, and I think that I don't know whether that was a planned or whether he just like come up with that on the fly, because she smashed him. She absolutely clobbered him when that comment came out. I mean, it was a good forearm Joel, and you could see that when he went down, you could actually see in his face he was like, Christ. And I think she definitely gave him a receipt for that comment, and I think that really led to that section being really sort of kind of like, God, pretty bad, you know, with Trey coming out, you know, giving I always call it sweet chin music, but there you go, giving a bit of sweet chin music to Ace, which again, I mean, if you watch that, he sold that really well too. That was really good, and of course that's led up to, you know, the last couple of tapings, which again, I think, you know what, and there was something I did want to touch on with Hard to Kill. I think as soon as we hit Hard to Kill, we saw the production level increase, and I think we've seen it again over these tapings. I think some of the angles from the cameras, I think the production level is just is gone up without doubt.
Definitely, yeah. There was a massive difference at Bash of the Brewery as well. The production level there had changed. So I've had people who are critical over the Impact Plus things in the past. On the Impact Lounge, they've talked about how it was just a massive shake-up at the start of the year. Everything has really definitely changed for the better in 2020. And Taya Valkyrie and Ace Austin's match in Mexico, that was fantastic.
Yeah.
They were against Tessa. They had a brilliant spot there where Tessa had kicked her in the chest and knocked her off. Ace Austin's caught her. And Taya's got this sigh of relief, and then she looks up and sees Ace Austin's got his arms around her, and she breaks a serious part of her character and goes back into, oh, don't touch me. And those moments of Taya Valkyrie, her matches and everything, still, it shows the great versatility Taya Valkyrie has, just thinking on the fly.
No, definitely. And I think, you know, it's all about the character. And I think what the thing is as well is, you know, when you go into a new character, sometimes it takes you a little while to sort of really start to think as that character. But I think the main thing about the character that she's now built over the last 12 months is she almost is that character now. It's not like she is the character that she's portraying now. She doesn't have to think about it. Once she goes into, you know, Taya character mode, it's there. You know, it just happens. It just flows. Everything is very natural. And, you know, as far as you're concerned, there is no other Taya. This is it. This is the one. This is Taya Valkyrie. You know what I mean? And I think, she's definitely solidified herself now as you know, not only the longest reigning Knockouts champion, but also one of the great Knockouts champions, in my opinion. What do you think?
I can't argue with that at all. I've not seen the long history of the Knockouts division like you have, but from what I've seen, I think the first champion I saw coming in was Taryn Terrell, about 2016. So it was Taryn Terrell or Gail Kim was Knockouts champion. I've seen Rosemary, I've seen Jade, Sienna, Ali's had the title, and Taya Valkyrie's been the best out of all of them so far, which is quite hard for me to not Rosemary down, because they ended that abruptly, and I was hoping for more from Rosemary, but situations changed there.
I think that I mean, looking at the future, I think she's obviously going to drop. She's going to drop the title, and I think obviously Jordan's going to take that title on for a little while. I think that may lead to a little bit of a feud, which will then solidify Jordan as champ. Taya will then obviously, be inserted into other storylines, and we'll get more feuds, and who knows, maybe eventually Taya will end up winning it back. I don't know. I know that since her husband is headed over to the other universe, that obviously there's rumors at the moment that she potentially may be heading that way to join him. I have seen other news reports which state that she's going nowhere.
No, I don't think she's going anywhere.
2020 anyway, which means that we've got at least another 10, 11 months with her. Which will be awesome, and I really hope that this end potentially to her reign as Knockouts champion isn't doesn't sort of kind of demote her too much. I just have this feeling she's now going to be almost elevated into something with Tessa. I've got this sneaking suspicion if she drops, or if and when she drops the Knockouts title, it will be because she's going for the world title. She wants. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think that's where I'm heading with that. Heading for a feud with possibly Tessa, which again, I think will be pretty awesome because they're both hard hitting, they're both incredible athletes, and I think as we know, and we also know through other promotions and history that that Taya can go with men. We know that we may not have seen it much on Impact, but we know that she has a history of being able to do that. So it'll be interesting to see how that sort of kind of pans out. But yeah, I mean, I think she is definitely one of the best knockouts in Impact history, in my opinion. I think it's great that they've given her that longest reign situation that she now has, which will also ultimately, cement her as one of the greatest knockouts of all time. And that is, and I think that's great. And I cannot wait to see where it goes in the future. How about yourself?
I'm excited for it, and I do agree. I think it is going to go from Taya being in the knockouts to Taya and Tessa world title, and in my opinion, it's a good thing. It just shows that they're not just using Tessa Blanchard as a showcase to elevate the company. They're using Taya Valkyrie now to do it. Well, they have Sami Callihan in the background doing something. So Sami's going to get involved with Tessa and Taya Valkyrie at some point. And
I mean, at the moment, it's almost like Sami's having a rest, isn't it? He's having a bit of a break because let's face it, he's been on all the way through 2019, hasn't he?
Yeah, an ideal match for me would be Tessa, Taya Valkyrie, Sami Callihan, and Eddie Edwards and Michael Elgin after the Best of Fight series has gone. Have all four of them face each other for the title. Each one of them has a rightful stake, and so does Moose as well. So we can probably touch on Michael Elgin and Eddie Edwards later on and where that's going. But I'd like to say like Moose, Eddie Edwards, Sami Callihan, Tessa Blanchard, and Taya Valkyrie, or Michael Elgin if Eddie Edwards doesn't keep the trophy. But if Eddie Edwards doesn't keep Timmy, I'll be pretty disappointed. Can't lose Timmy and Kenny.
No, I agree. Okay, so we've come to the end of episode 3 of Impacted. I just want to say thank you to all the fans out there. Thank you to everyone joining us today. We've had a great time talking about the longest reigning Knockouts champion, Taya Valkyrie. I hope she checks out our discussion. That would be really cool. Nice. Yeah, definitely. So thank you ever so much for joining us. I'd just like to say thank you, obviously, to the guys over at TNI, Total Nonstop Impact. Don't forget to watch their weekly preview of the show, of the Impact show. They do a great job. J-Bone is the producer of this show, and I think he's doing a great job too. So thanks, J-Bone, for that. But yeah, no, it's going to be a great 2020, I think, for Taya and the rest of the Impact roster. So it is. So can you just tell us where we can find you, Joe? Where can we find you on social media?
You can find me on Twitter at JOE-KER empty space, or if you just do a hashtag for empty space, I'm sure you'll find me there.
Yeah.
And I'd also like to extend a personal thank you to J-Bone and Trent as well. When we kicked off this series, this whole project, I was really nervous about it, and everyone like TNI has been really supportive. So I can't thank you guys enough for everything. It's I think this has been the most confident I've been since we've started the project. So thanks again, guys, and I really do appreciate everything you've done.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Thanks very much, Joe. I think that I think Trent and Jay will appreciate that. Yeah, and of course, if you want to follow the Bison, the leader of the Disciples of Pain, then you can find me on Twitter at JB Hawke, HAWKE. That's JB Hawke, HAWKE. Yeah, I mean, you know, we love to talk wrestling, the pair of us, and we certainly you know, pass on as much news as we possibly can. We're very good at that. So yeah, and if you want to find me on Facebook, I'm on there as Jason Hawke. So feel free to add me if you like. Obviously, I prefer if you send me a message, let me know that you're a wrestling fan. That would be great, and then, you know, I have no problem with that. But please, yeah, give us a like. Follow me on Twitter, and you're more than welcome to follow me on the Facebook too. Yeah. So all that's left to say is thank you from me.
Thank you, guys. Like and share. Drop a comment below if you've got anything else to add about Taya Valkyrie or anyone on the roster.
Oh yeah, please don't hesitate to comment. I always forget that, don't I? Yeah, no, please don't hesitate to comment. If there's anything on there that you think that we've missed, pop that on there. We're happy to reply. Joe likes replying to a lot of those sort of messages, so it's great. And you know, who knows, we may just cover any of your questions or anything like that you might have in the next episode. But yeah, please leave a comment. We do appreciate it. And a good thumbs up. Let us know that you like the show. That would be great too. And don't forget to subscribe to the TNI OG channel. Also, don't forget Catlang too. BQ over there does a great job too. So don't forget to subscribe to both those channels, and then click your little bell to make sure that you get all notifications of everything that's being popped up. That would be great. And we'll look forward to seeing you on episode 4. We haven't decided who we're going to cover yet, but I've got a funny feeling it could be, yeah, I'm not going to say. Could be someone that wears green. Maybe. We'll see. Anyway, talk to you on episode 4. Take care, guys. All the best. Bye-bye.
Take care, guys. Bye.